just fine tuning. That's what a fighter of that caliber just needs: fine tuning, and just trying to fix the mistakes that he made in the first fight before you go into the second fight. And that's the same thing I did the first fight we worked with him. Just fine tuning, just make sure you don't make the same mistakes over and over. So, you have better results.
Chris Eubank Jr.'s coach, Brian BoMac McIntyre, says they're locking in on every mistake from the first Benn fight. This time it's all about fine-tuning and precision. BoMac believes Eubank will come back sharper to beat Conor Benn in the rematch on November 15th. Right after BoMac's confident take, Chris Eubank Jr. himself jumped in, and in his words made it clear this isn't just another camp, it's personal. He stated, "We're training for a 12-round war because that's what could happen." He's leaving no stone unturned this time. That opening line says everything. Eubank is ready for chaos, for pain, and for a battle that tests every ounce of his conditioning. You can sense the steel in his mindset. Yeah, he's not relying on luck or hoping Benn fades late. He's preparing for a war of will. Every sparring round, every drill, every fine-tuned detail under BoMac's eye is about surviving and breaking through. The focus isn't on what went wrong, it's on rewriting the ending. That's the mentality of a man who's not just training, but transforming. Eubank further continued, this time revealing the mindset behind his aggression and the strategy driving his camp. He stated, "But in my mind, I'm doing everything I can to implement tactics to get him out of there before that 12th round comes. And yes, BoMac and the team will help me to implement that strategy." Those words hit different. You can feel the hunger. This isn't cautious confidence, it's controlled aggression. Eubank sounds like a fighter who's visualized every angle, every counter, and every moment that leads to Benn falling. There's a quiet fire there, one that comes from lessons learned in blood. With BoMac's system shaping his rhythm and timing, the blueprint is simple: don't just fight Benn, finish him. And when November 15th arrives, all that fine-tuning might finally explode into the kind of statement performance Eubank's been chasing his whole career. Liam Smith, the man who's shared the ring twice with Chris Eubank Jr., started off with honest reflections. He's been there, felt the power, and seen what Eubank brings when the lights hit.
First fight was a better fight than I kind of expected. I expected Chris to win the first fight, but I thought Conor performed better than I expected. The rematch, I think Conor Benn, I probably fancy Conor a little bit more than I did the first fight, and I probably, you asked me now to put me money where my mouth is, I probably think Conor might win this one.
You could sense the experience talking. Liam wasn't hyping anyone. He was just calling it how he saw it. He admitted Conor Benn performed better than expected, showing composure and hunger. This time though, Smith hinted that Benn might be the one to edge it. A bold call coming from someone who knows exactly how dangerous Eubank can be. When a man who stopped Eubank once says that, it makes fans pause. The respect in his tone made it clear. This isn't a prediction, it's insight born from battle. As the conversation deepened, Liam shifted from results to preparation. He's seen both fighters evolve and had plenty to say about their training camps.
It could, and both your points are correct, Spencer, but like, I do think he looks better this time round. In camp, I think the sparring partners I've seen pictured with, I think he has took this one a lot more serious than he did take the last one, as in Eubank Jr. But yes, in my opinion, I think he, one fight away from being done. I think his balance is not what it was, and we've seen a lot of that in the first fight. He didn't really look, solid on his feet. I think he was buzzed a few times, but so my opinion is I bring Conor Benn to it a lot more this time round because of what I think on Chris Eubank Jr. I think he's only one or two fights away from being done, but. The point is correct. We failed weight last time round. The rehydration clause saga also. I'm still not 100% sure on what's going to happen this time. Ben Shalom and that are saying the rehydration clause not agreed yet and stuff like that. Eddie ain't saying it was all agreed beforehand. So, I'm not sure. It'll be an interesting fight week again, a little bit like the last one was.
He acknowledged that Eubank looks sharper this time, more serious, more disciplined. But beneath that, Liam's words carried caution. Maybe the body doesn't react the same anymore. He mentioned Eubank's balance, his legs, and those small signs that only a fighter who's been in there would notice. To Smith, that's the difference between prime and past prime. Then came the reminder of the rehydration clause. The weight controversy that still hangs over this rematch. It's not just a fight, it's layers of pressure, physical and mental, stacked against time itself. Then Liam broke it down like a tactician. Not just talking power or heart, but pure ring IQ. He analyzed both men's strengths and flaws with the eye of a veteran.
I don't think Chris Eubank's the most technically correct fighter also. I know he's a bigger man and fought his whole career at 160, but I don't think Chris Eubank is as technically good and technically correct to counter Conor Benn's mistakes and exploit Conor Benn's mistakes. So that's where I do think you're correct in what you're saying. And if we analyse Conor, he was not the most talented fighter. He hadn't had any great wins, hadn't beat any top names for us to say, wow. I always said last time, it's crazy how Conor Benn's career has gone, because he's a huge name, a huge draw, and a huge money fight now for anyone fighting him. Yet he hasn't won a British title. He hasn't fought or beat anyone of note. Chris Algieri, Sebastian Formella, who they bang on about. But when you analyse himself, ability-wise and technical-wise, he's never ever great, but I also don't think Chris Eubank Jr. is.
He made it clear, neither fighter is technically perfect. Eubank's strong, yes, but Smith doesn't see him as a master of precision or timing. And as for Benn, despite being a rising star, his resume lacks that one defining win. It's that mix of experience versus youth, power versus explosiveness that keeps this rematch alive. Coming from someone who's fought at a world level, Liam's analysis adds weight to the debate. He's not choosing sides, he's dissecting possibilities. Every punch, every slip, every counter could rewrite both fighters' careers in one night. Finally, Liam took everyone back inside the ropes, breaking down how the first fight really played out moment by moment. You could tell he still got that fighter's memory.
No, I don't expect that. I think we're going to get along the lines of the same fight as last time, whether it's as good and as competitive as last time. I think we're going to get the same type fight. Let's have it right. It didn't start off at a war. Conor was very, very explosive early, and Chris was not really wanting to engage early. And then, after 6, Chris put his foot to the pedal and stood and had a fight with Conor. Conor tired, probably because of the natural size difference with Chris. It didn't start off at Unzinger from round 1. Both swinging out. Chris started off on the jab. Conor started off trying to be explosive and probably trying to nail Chris early, because he's seen, my fight, and I hear Chris early, so he's probably thought his best chance of hitting Chris is while he's fresh and explosive.
He remembered how Benn came out flying, trying to end things early while Eubank stayed cool behind the jab. It wasn't all-out war, it was a slow burn. Patience versus power. As rounds passed, Eubank started to apply pressure, but Benn began to fade, worn down by size and pace. Smith painted it vividly, not to criticize, but to remind everyone that both had their moments. Now, as they run it back, he believes the story might follow the same rhythm, but one small change could flip everything. In fights like these, experience doesn't just help, it decides who survives. Meanwhile, BoMac spoke with calm authority, focused on the smaller details that make a big difference. His message wasn't about power, it was about precision.
Victory, but I figured it could be a little bit more of easier fight this time. Not try to put a whole bunch out there, but just fine-tuning to make it easier for him.
That's a coach fine-tuning a fighter's mind as much as his hands. He doesn't want chaos, he wants command. Every punch measured, every round controlled. It's about making the fight look easy by staying disciplined, not desperate. BoMac knows Eubank doesn't need to reinvent himself, just tighten the gaps. The tone carried quiet confidence, the kind that comes from real preparation. If Eubank executes the plan exactly as drawn, Benn could walk straight into a tactical trap he never saw coming. The next thing BoMac said carried weight, like a mentor demanding his fighter seize the moment. You could feel the urgency in his tone.
I told him today as we was talking, you need to make a statement. You need to make a statement. Somebody out there needs to give you a shot. Your promoters need to step on the gas, because it's time now. You've been in some good fights, you've been in some tough fights, and you won some, you lost some, but at this time, it's time to go.
He wasn't asking Eubank to just win. He was pushing him to dominate, to make a statement that echoes beyond one fight. BoMac sees this as a crossroads, a point where a fighter either becomes a contender again or fades quietly away. His words had purpose. No more waiting, no more almost. The respect Eubank wants won't be given. It has to be taken. This is the kind of fire that can turn a fight into into a career-defining night, and BoMac knows exactly how to light that spark. BoMac's next line showed how confident he is in Eubank's conditioning. His focus was on control, not chaos.
If the knockout is there, we're going to definitely take it. But, you know, he's going to be in shape to go 15 rounds.
He made it clear they'll take the knockout if it comes, but they're not chasing it blindly. That's a veteran's approach built on patience and ring IQ. BoMac's plan is simple. Make Eubank ready for any pace, any storm, any test Ben tries to bring. You can tell they've pushed the limits in camp. The gas tank won't be a question this time. It's about turning discipline into danger. Every jab, every counter, every adjustment is being crafted for that one perfect opening. BoMac spoke like a man who's watched his fighter evolve, both in skill and mentality. His confidence sounded earned, not exaggerated.
You know, just working with him and seeing what I've seen in the last couple years, I think he'd be a lot better. I think he can beat some of those guys out there that people don't think he can beat or name that he shouldn't be calling out. So I'm sure that it wouldn't be no problem for him to get better.
He's seen Eubank grow. Not just physically, but in focus and composure. The coach believes Eubank can beat names that people used to laugh at him for calling out. That kind of belief comes from long hours and consistent grind. It's not talk, it's proof of change inside the gym. BoMac sees something sharper now, a fighter with patience, precision, and purpose. If that version shows up on fight night, it could silence every critic still doubting Chris Eubank Jr.'s ceiling. BoMac's final words were filled with admiration. You could hear pride in the way he spoke about Eubank's hunger and consistency.
His commitment is 100%. Well, you could say 120% because of just the way that he comes off in camp. So the work that he puts in, the commitment that he got for himself, the commitment he got towards his career, and just what he, how he goes about working with the coaches. So I think it's 110, 15, 20%.
He praised the relentless drive, the focus, and the professional attitude that define Eubank's camp. To BoMac, this isn't just another fighter chasing a payday. It's someone chasing greatness. That level of commitment is rare, even among elites. He's seen champions come and go, but Eubank's intensity feels personal, like a mission. Every coach dreams of a fighter who listens, adapts, and shows up hungry every day. BoMac sounded certain. This version of Eubank isn't just ready to fight, he's ready to make history. Then came an unexpected take from Leroy Rogers, a prediction that caught many off guard. His tone wasn't bold or loud, just calm and certain, like he'd already seen it play out in his mind.
It's a hard fight to call. Me and my coach were talking about this earlier. Controversial one, but I think it's going to be a draw.
Yeah?
I think it's going to be a draw. That's what I think.
Why?
That call stunned a few in the room. A draw isn't something you hear often in boxing predictions, especially in a fight this heated, but Rogers spoke with quiet conviction, like someone reading the rhythm of both fighters. Maybe he senses how evenly matched they've become. Ben's aggression versus Eubank's experience, clashing right down the middle. It's the kind of outcome that leaves fans split and the story unfinished. If he's right, the controversy would only fuel the fire for a trilogy, one that could define both men's careers once and for all. He doubled down moments later, connecting his prediction to something poetic, a family twist that made everyone pause and smile.
The dads did it, didn't they? Chris Eubank Sr. won the first fight, it was a draw the second fight. I just think the stars aligned for it to be a draw. It's a bit weird, but it's definitely a pick what I think.
Rogers drew a link to boxing history, almost like fate repeating itself. Chris Eubank Sr. once went through the same pattern, a win followed by a draw, and now his son could mirror that legacy. It's a wild thought, but boxing has a way of writing stories that feel scripted by destiny. The way Rogers said it wasn't for shock value, it felt genuine, like he truly believed the stars were aligning. If that symmetry plays out on November 15th, it would be one of those eerie full circle moments that make fight fans believe in fate all over again. Paul Smith, the oldest of the Smith brothers and a sharp boxing analyst, gave his honest take when asked about the Eubank versus Benn rematch. He didn't sugarcoat anything. He broke it down like a man who's seen it all.
Yeah, it's a good fight. I was asked my opinion on this before, and I always mention the fact that I think Eubank won well in the first fight. I didn't have it as close as a lot of other people made out, but the fact that he was getting hurt by Ben when he shouldn't be getting hit by Ben, because he's a big middleweight who's been in there with light middle, with super middles and light heavies as well. And yet he was still managing to get air to get rocked. And I think, obviously, as I've said before, I think Eubank is coming towards the very end of his career. And I think I said a while ago, I think he was an accident waiting to happen. But he came through that fight in the Conor Benn fight. You know what? I thought it was a great night. It's a fight that I'll tune in to watch again.
His words carried both respect and realism. Paul acknowledged Eubank's strong first performance, but also pointed out the warning signs. Getting caught clean by a smaller man shouldn't happen at this level. That, to him, showed wear and tear. You could sense he believes Eubank's nearing the twilight of his career, still capable but no longer untouchable. Yet there was admiration too, for the heart, for surviving the last war, for still wanting more. The way Paul said it made you feel this rematch isn't just about skill. It's about whether Eubank can still hold off time itself. As the conversation moved on, Paul built on his earlier point, highlighting what made the first fight so fascinating, and at the same time, so worrying for Team Eubank.
I think that's the thing though, Spencer. They both left it in the ring, and it was a very close competitive fight. It was not very close, but it was a very competitive fight, and it shouldn't have been competitive because the bigger man should have been dominating the fight.
He pointed out that the fight was far more competitive than it should have been, given the size and experience difference. For someone like Eubank, who's fought at middleweight and beyond, that's not a small observation. It's a red flag. Paul's tone wasn't harsh, just honest. He knows what it's like to age in a young man's sport. His breakdown reflected both technical insight and emotional truth. It wasn't criticism, it was concern for a fighter who might be giving too much to the game. The way he spoke left fans wondering, has Eubank already peaked, or does he still have one more big night left in him? Paul then shifted gears, talking about something every fighter knows matters just as much as power, the team behind you. He focused on the influence of BoMac in Eubank's corner.
It's what he got left. I'm not sure he has it. He hasn't much left, as I've said, but BoMac being there will be a big positive influence for Eubank on both making the weight and both tactically in the fight, and both, you know, just that extra added sort of bit of experience on the team when he's walking in there on fight night. Conor Benn knows he's in there with a top trainer in BoMac. We had him on Talk Boxing a few weeks ago, didn't we? And he's obviously a very confident trainer, very capable in his own right and confident in his own ability as a trainer. He thinks he's the best out there in the world. There's probably not many arguments that he is at the moment, so I think he's a top trainer, and having him in your corner can only be a benefit.
His respect for BoMac was clear. He described him as a proven tactician, someone who brings calm, experience, and control to chaotic nights. To Paul, having BoMac in the corner isn't just about strategy, it's about belief. That kind of presence can settle nerves and sharpen focus, especially when you're walking into deep waters. He sees BoMac as the X factor, a steady hand guiding Eubank through a career-defining moment. And hearing Paul praise another coach, that highly shows just how much BoMac's arrival has changed the tone around this fight. Finally, Paul broke it down from a fighter's perspective. Tactical, sharp, and rooted in real ring experience. You could tell he's been there, felt the pressure, and knows exactly how to approach a fighter like Eubank.
I'm not sure if he can do much different. I wouldn't let Eubank breathe. You ought to be smart with it. You can't just be going forward because you will get picked off. Eubank's got a really good underrated jab. I've sparred him a lot. We've watched him a lot, obviously, when Liam was fighting him both times. But I think you can't let him breathe. You've got to make him work hard. And Conor Benn does fight that way and can fight that way. We've seen clips of him on the heavy bag recently. We've seen clips of him in the gym working with Tony Sims. And he throws big, wild shots. I would swing up high, a lot of the shots high. I'd aim high up on the head just to try and catch him and get that reaction out to Eubank again, because I don't think he's going to try and outbox Eubank. And Eubank isn't the best boxer. He's a very good fighter inside. So in and out bursts, use the feet, high shots, whip them over. He throws a lot of explosive, powerful shots, whipping them over the top Conor Benn. And I think they're dangerous shots for Chris Eubank. So I wouldn't let Eubank breathe, personally.
He gave Conor Benn a blueprint: pressure, persistence, and pace. Don't give Eubank time to think or breathe. Paul knows Eubank's jab and timing can frustrate anyone, but he also knows Benn's explosiveness can break rhythm fast. The way he described it felt like he was crafting a strategy live, mixing respect with cold analysis. Every word sounded like advice coming from someone who's shared rounds with the very same man. It wasn't about trash talk. It was insight born in the gym. His final thoughts left one thing clear: if Benn follows that plan perfectly, this rematch could turn into the kind of all-out firefight fans have been waiting for. However, Conor Benn's energy is different this time. sharper, colder, and more personal. You can hear the chip on his shoulder growing with every word. He stated, "You have to have an element of doubt because doubt fuels the fire." That line set the tone perfectly. He's no longer brushing off the pressure, he's feeding on it. Benn's admitting that he needs that spark of uncertainty to stay dangerous. It's what drives him to train harder, hit sharper, and push beyond comfort. In a way, that self-awareness makes him more unpredictable than ever. The man who once fought with pure emotion is now mixing fire with focus, and that's a scary combination. You can feel it. This isn't the same Conor Benn we saw last time. This one's colder, calculated. He didn't stop there. His tone switched from calm to confrontational, like a fighter sending a message straight through the camera. He stated, "People think I can't do this. What people think he's gonna knock me out? He ain't knocking me out." That defiance came with raw conviction. It wasn't trash talk. It was a man refusing to be underestimated. Benn's heard the doubts, seen the headlines, and now he's turning every word into fuel. The disbelief of others has become his motivation. He's not just fighting Eubank, he's fighting every critic who questioned his chin, his power, his place. The way he said it made one thing clear. He's coming to prove a point, and he won't rest until the narrative changes. By the time he reached the end of his statement, Benn's tone darkened. Not loud, not wild, just deadly serious. It sounded like a promise. He stated, "I could not care less. I'm pinning you to that canvas and having you airlifted to the hospital." That was pure menace. The kind that doesn't come from anger, but certainty. He's visualizing the outcome, believing every word of it. The calmness in his threat made it even more chilling. Benn's not talking about points or scorecards anymore. He's talking about domination. It's the voice of a man who's done holding back, who wants to finish what started the first time. You could feel the heat behind every syllable. That this isn't hype. It's personal, and when fighters talk like that, something explosive is guaranteed to follow on fight night. This rematch between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn is shaping up to be something special. Not just a fight, but a statement. Both men have spoken with conviction, their coaches have drawn up strategies, and their energy feels like a storm building before impact. Eubank looks calm, polished, and focused under BoMac's watch, while Benn looks fierce, hungry, and fueled by emotion. The contrast between them, discipline versus rage, makes this clash impossible to predict. You can feel it in every interview and every stare down. Both men are preparing to leave a mark that lasts far beyond November 15th. Now, what do you think? Do you believe Conor Benn's aggression will overwhelm Eubank again, or will BoMac's fine-tuning make the difference? Does experience beat emotion, or will Benn's fire burn through Eubank's composure this time? Could this fight finally settle the rivalry, or does it set up a trilogy for 2026? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel and tune in for more videos like this.